All right. A very good morning to everybody. Okay. Very good morning to everybody. So let us discuss today the topic, that is project identification. So far we have discussed all about project report, various steps involved in project report, and how project report is prepared. Now today let us try to discuss on the topic project identification. Now I, as an entrepreneur, I will be having several projects in my hand. I receive inputs from several stakeholders, be it employees, employers, customers, competitors, suppliers, and based on these inputs, I try to develop various projects. But now it is the time for me, or it is the stage wherein I need to prioritize the project, because I cannot be able to implement all the projects which I prepare based on the idea generated. Rather, what I do, I will try to prioritize them based on the various factors. Which project to be taken first? Which project will give me mileage? Which project is going to help me to achieve my business objective, and so on and so forth. Now prioritizing all the projects which are there in my hand is what we call it as identifying the suitable project. There is one more reason why a businessman or an entrepreneur need to involve himself into project identification. That is, an entrepreneur cannot be able to implement all the projects in hand at a time because of lack of resources. The resources are maybe finance, employees, technology, place, and so on and so forth. And hence, an entrepreneur need to identify the suitable project out of the alternatives which are there available in hand, and he should carry away with that selected project ahead. Now, how to identify the project is what we are going to discuss today. This is called as project identification. Now, there are basically 3 to 4 ways. There are 3 to 4 methods which can be used in project identification. They are such as, the first one is situation analysis. Second one is environmental analysis. Third one is SWOT analysis. Fourth is problem and opportunity analysis. Now these are the 4 important ways, these are the 4 important methods which are normally used to identify a suitable project. Now, as I told you, an entrepreneur is having several projects in hand. Since he cannot be able to implement, work on all the projects at a time due to resource constraint, he will have to identify the suitable project with the help of prioritization. Now, based on certain set criteria, an entrepreneur is going to prioritize the various projects which are there available in his hand, and he will try to select that project which is there on the top list. Now, as I told you, these are the four important methods, these are the four important ways by which an entrepreneur can be able to identify the best project. Let us try to discuss these methods one by one. The first method is what we call it as a situation analysis. It is as good as, or it is as same as market analysis, what we call it as. Or it is also called as market audit. What does it mean? And why we need to analyze the situation which is there existing in the market? Because ultimately, once my project is implemented, once I start producing my product, I will have to get into the market for marketing and sales. Now, because of that, marketing is the core of every business. Today, I can be able to perform every activity in every department without having much stress, without having much problem. But what is the most important problem in a business, as we have already discussed, is marketing of goods or services. Why? Because of changing needs, wants, tastes and preferences of the customer. Now, because of this, an entrepreneur need to analyze the situation. I mean, an entrepreneur need to analyze the market where he wants to enter into. Now, in this analysis, what an entrepreneur will do, he will try to scan the entire marketing environment in terms of first 4 P's of marketing mix, that is product, place, price and promotion. Further, he will analyze the marketing environment. He will try to scan the marketing environment in terms of competitors. He will also try to scan the marketing environment in terms of customers' requirements. He also try to identify market environment in terms of competitors' SWOT. I mean, competitors' strength, weakness, opportunity and threats. Now, what this will give to an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur can be able to gain from this particular analysis, such as what is his product, what price he is quoting for his product, how he is distributing his product to the end consumer, and what promotional strategies he is adopting for his products to be promoted. This is one thing. Second thing is, he will study competitors and their products in terms of product, price, place and promotion, so that he can be able to compare his 4 P's with competitors' 4 P's, and he will try to see the gap, if any. This is one. Second important thing is, he will try to study, or in fact he will try to study the marketing environment with customer requirements. That what are the customer's requirements and how to fulfill them. As we know again that customer needs and wants are very dynamic and are changing frequently. Now, you people need to identify those needs and wants, and you will have to assess yourself that whether you can be able to fulfill those requirements, whether we can be able to satisfy those needs and wants. Now, here you can be able to understand further that once you get to know what are the customer's requirements, you can be able to cross-check yourself that whether I can be able to fulfill those requirements. This skill set also is very important for you to succeed in the market, and because of that, you people are supposed to scan the marketing environment. That is marketing, we call it as marketing analysis. Now, second, as I told you, you are going to compare 4 P's with yourself and your competitors, and you try to identify the gap, if any, so that you will not find any difficulty while marketing or selling your products in the market. Third important thing is you people are going to study the market as a whole by conducting research, and you try to analyze the situations in that particular market so that you people can be able to select the best suitable project which can be implemented in your business. This is first important method by which you can be able to identify the suitable product. I mean suitable project. Second one is environmental scanning. Market scanning or market analysis is a part of overall environmental scanning. Now, environmental scanning is the scanning or the analysis of the environment as a whole, which is divided into two parts. One is you people are going to analyze the macro environmental aspects, and second is you people are going to analyze the micro environmental factors of the environment. Now, you must have studied these things again, that there are some factors which are at the macro level and there are some factors which are at the micro level. How will you differentiate these? Macro level factors are those which are there available in the environment, which are beyond the control of you as a businessman, whereas micro environmental factors are those which are sometimes within the control of you as a businessman. Now, as far as macro environmental factors are concerned, even though they are not within your control, you people are supposed to study them. You people are supposed to analyze them as a businessman so that you can be able to prepare yourself for the future. Now, what are those macro environmental factors which are beyond the control of you as a businessman? They are something like, yes, economic factors, political factors, technological factors, socio-cultural factors, natural factors. Now, what is this economic factors? Yes, economic factor says all about the economy of the environment. Whether the economy of the environment is developed or underdeveloped, whether the economy is conducive for me as a businessman to enter into the environment or not. This I can be able to understand once I study the economy as a whole, which is one of the important factor of environmental scanning, which is of course beyond your control. You cannot do anything for this. Why? Because the economy of the country depends upon the policies which are framed by the government. And of course, government will look after these all aspects, and one amongst them is business aspect, and they will frame the policies, and definitely those policies are going to promote, those policies are going to push the economy towards the development direction. But again, there are various facets which you people need to study as far as economy of the country as a concern. So because of this, you people are supposed to study that. Second, political factors, which is again beyond your control, yet you people need to study the political factors which is a part of environmental scanning. Now, what you as a businessman expect here, what you as a businessman see here, you see that yes, political stability versus political instability. Now, you as a businessman prefer to enter into that economy where you feel there is a political stability. Now, what is the difference, or how it is going to help you, how it is going to benefit you as a businessman? Yes, stable political environment can be able to frame stable economic policies, and which can continue for a long period of time. Definitely these policies will help, assist, benefit the entrepreneurs in their growth and development. As against this, unstable government, unstable politics, Yes, definitely political people or politics cannot be able to take long-term decisions, and they cannot be able to frame the policies which runs for a long period of time. Why? Because there is instability in the government. And because of this, you as a businessman will have to scan the environment in terms of politics and see whether in the environment political instability is existing or political instability is existing, so that you people can be able to take a call, and definitely it will help you people to study, choose the project. Third important thing is something we call it as technological factors, which is again beyond your control. Yes, today technology is changing at a faster rate. The technology what we are using today will be outdated tomorrow. And because of we need to be very careful while investing our money and resources in the technology. Why? Because technology of late has become perishable in nature. And hence, what do? You people are going to study technology thoroughly, and then you take a decision whether to invest in the latest technology, if at all to invest in the latest technology, how much to invest, where to invest, what to invest, and so on and so forth. Now, definitely this also will help you people in identifying a suitable project. Now, fourth important one is socio-cultural factors, which is again beyond your control. Yet, you people will have to scan the environment in terms of socio-cultural factors. Okay, the environment in which you wish to enter into, what society it is, what beliefs, what values they have, what beliefs they have, what principles they follow, what culture they belongs to. These all aspects you people need to study, so that you people can be able to take a accurate decision while selecting a project again. Of course, this is beyond your control, yet you as a businessman will have to study this particular factor while scanning the environment. And last one is, of course, natural factors, which is again a macroeconomic factor, which is beyond your control. Why? Because natural calamities or natural disasters like, yes, tsunami, earthquake, and various other natural disasters, definitely you people need to anticipate, and then you people need to take a decision whether the environment which is there existing is suitable for me to enter with the project or not. Because sometimes your project may have positive impact on the environment or vice versa, or sometimes your project may have negative impact on the environment or vice versa. And because of this, what you people need to do? You people need to scan the environment in terms of macroeconomic factors, and you people need to identify projects out of the available alternatives. Now, second part of the environmental scanning is microeconomic factors. As I told you, microeconomic factors are partially controlled by you people as a businessman, you as an entrepreneur. Okay, micro environmental factors, what are they? They all are, we can say, 5 stakeholders of the business. They are employers, employees, customers, competitors, and suppliers. Now, how these people are going to have an impact on your project identification? Now, these all 5 stakeholders will have to cooperate with each other, coordinate with each other while implementing the selected project. Now, you people are supposed to study these all 5 stakeholders in terms of their skills, capabilities, and competencies, and availability of resources, so that you can be able to implement your project successfully. And because of this, you people will have to study these 5 stakeholders of the business thoroughly, and you will have to scan the environment. Now, let us try to throw some light on these 5 stakeholders and move ahead. Now, as I told you, these 5 stakeholders are partially controlled by the businessman. Why? Because yes, employer, employees, suppliers, definitely you can have a control, And even customers and competitors, you can have a partial control on these stakeholders again. Right? So because of this, you will have to just coordinate these with these 5 stakeholders, and you will have to see whether the selected project or whether the proposed project is suitable for me to implement, will help me to achieve the desired objective of my business. Yes, you will have to just have a concurrence of all these 5 stakeholders, and then you people will have to take a call, and you people will have to decide upon the project. This is what we call it as project identification using environmental analysis. Now we have discussed 2. The first one is all about situation analysis, which is called as market analysis or market audit, and second one is environmental analysis, which we have studied in terms of macro environmental analysis and micro environmental analysis. Now third important thing is SWOT analysis. Now as you all know SWOT is, yes, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Now you will have to study each project's SWOT, and you will have to identify the best suitable project again. Because every project has its own strengths, its own opportunities, its own weaknesses and its own threats. Now, you people are supposed to study the SWOT of each and every project which is there available in your hand, and you will have to decide upon which project is suitable for me, which project can be able to help me in achieving my desired objective of the business. Okay. Now, as far as strengths and weaknesses are concerned, they are internal to the organization, and opportunities and threats are concerned, they are external to the organization. Now, you people are supposed to look after each project in terms of strengths and weaknesses which are internal to the organization, and you people are supposed to look after opportunities and threats with respect to each and every project as external to the organization again. Now, what are the strengths we can say about? How will you understand strengths of the project? Yes, strength of the project is it is logical. Second one is it is easy to implement. Third one is it is cost effective. Fourth one is yes, it is unique. Yes, this could be the strength of your project, and if you find in any of the project these parameters or these ideas, then you can be able to prioritize that project on a first, and you can be able to implement that. That is strength. Second is weaknesses. What are the weaknesses of each project? Yes, every project, alike strengths, every project has its own weaknesses. What could be the weaknesses? Weaknesses could be high cost. Second one could be easy entry from the competitors. It means it is not unique. Third can be, you can say again, there are very close competitors in the market. This can be the weaknesses. Now you will have to identify which project has strengths and which project has weaknesses. Based on this, you can be able to take a decision where which project should be there on the top priority and which project should be there on the last priority. Is it not? Yes, these are internal to the organization. You people can be able to just see that. Third one is opportunities. Third one is opportunities. Opportunities are again there with every project. Yes, yes, maybe it is something like, yes, by implementing so and so project, you people are going to gain lot of profit. Or the opportunity is, if you implement so and so project, that will certainly help your organization to achieve its end objective, that is profit. This could be opportunities. There are no close competitors. You can be able to enter into foreign markets with this particular project. These are the various opportunities you people need to identify as far as each and every project is concerned, and that will help you people in identifying the best project again. And last one is threats. There are threats to the projects again. Now there are some projects which are not so innovative. Rather, they are imitative. It is a threat. It means a competitor can be able to imitate your project anytime and he can be able to enter into. And that is a threat. Second important thing is, yes, your technology is obsolete. The technology what you are planning to adopt in a given project is absolute. That is threat. Why? Because technology, as I told you, is perishable, and you people cannot be able to take that particular risk where your project is adopting low-end technology. It is a threat. Why? Because very soon you enter into the business, very soon you enter into the market, and competitors can overtake you people in terms of technology. It is a threat. Second important thing is, you people can have lot of competitors for the existing product. That is a threat. Yes, you people need to identify your projects which are there available in hand in terms of these threats, and you people will have to prioritize your projects on the basis of this. So this is how SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, will help you people in identifying a suitable project. Now the last important method which helps you people in identifying the best project is, that is problems and opportunities. Now there are some projects which are viable, there are some projects which are not viable. There are some projects which are logical, there are some projects which are not logical. There are some projects which need very less finance, there are some projects which require huge investment. There are some projects which require lot of natural resources which are very scarce. There are some projects which require very less resources which are abundantly available. Now if we look at these permutations and combinations again, then we can be able to decide there are some projects with which lot of problems are associated, and businessmen or entrepreneurs will face lot of problems in terms of all these things. Now in the initial stage itself, while identifying the project itself, you people need to identify or anticipate the problems what you people are going to face while implementing the project, while entering into the business. Now even sometimes in terms of manpower, now there are some organizations, some projects need very high skilled manpower, and there are some projects which require low skilled or unskilled manpower. Now you people will have to see yourself where you are situated and what is the condition of manpower availability. Whether the manpower availability is scarce or whether the availability of manpower is in abundant quantity. Now whether the available manpower is literate or the available manpower is illiterate. Now what is your requirement and what is the availability? You people need to compare and contrast and then take a decision what project need to be identified and what project need to be implemented. Why? Because these problems, if you don't anticipate in well in advance, then these problems are going to create lot of problem for you as and when you implement project and as and when you commission your business, as and when you start your business. So because of this, you people are supposed to identify these problems well in advance. Be the problem is in terms of resources available. Resources could be manpower resources, financial resources, technological resources, research and development resources, right, raw material resources. Yes, these all aspects, resources you people need to look after. You people need to just see the project in terms of various other problems, and you people will have to take a call on this, and so that you can be able to understand what best can be done with each project and how easy It is to solve the problem associated with the project. Based on this, you people can be able to prioritize the project and you can be able to pick the best project which is there set on the top. Right? Okay. These are the various problems associated with the project again. Now there are some projects which have got tremendous opportunities. Now you people will have to give them a highest priority. It means out of the available projects in hand, there are one or two projects which have got tremendous opportunities in terms of invention and innovation. There are some projects which have got tremendous opportunities in terms of market. There are some projects which have got tremendous opportunities in terms of availability of resources. Now definitely you people will have to hit that project and you people will have to act upon it as soon as possible before anybody enters into it. Right? So these all aspects you people are supposed to look after and you people will have to study, understand, and you people will have to identify the best project available for you to implement and get into the business. So these are the four important methods. They are: first one is situation analysis, second one is environmental analysis, third one is SWOT analysis, and fourth one is opportunities and problems analysis or problems and opportunities analysis, which may help you people in identifying the best suitable project for your business and you people can be able to go ahead with. Now in the previous class we have discussed all about the various steps involved in project report. Now we are going to discuss something all about business ideas. How business ideas are generated or created. Now we are going to discuss generating, creating, discovering business ideas. Now we have discussed so far, yes, that is project identification, what is project management, and what are the various steps involved in or what are the contents of project management we have discussed so far. Now the next topic is all about business idea. Yes, how business ideas are generated. Now the question is whether the businessman himself is going to generate the business idea or he is going to take the help or assistance from somebody else is the question. The answer for this question is business ideas are generated from both as well as internal as well as external. Business ideas are generated from both an entrepreneur as well as the people surrounded by him. Now who are the people who are surrounded by him? They all are called as stakeholders of the business. Sometimes your employees could give you the best idea and that idea will click in the market in the form of business. Sometimes your customers only will give you an idea and that idea will click in the market. Sometimes your suppliers will give an idea and that idea will click in the market. Like this, sometimes, yes, you yourself will develop an idea and that will be a grand success. The only thing is, you as an entrepreneur, you should be receptive in terms of submissions. You people are supposed to listen to your stakeholders, be it employees, customers, suppliers, competitors, so that you can be able to get some idea related to the business and out of that only you can be able to develop an idea. Business ideas are not developed by somebody else. People who are involved in the business, they themselves are going to create an idea. Okay, what kind of idea it is? If you say that you have discovered idea, then we can categorize that idea into an invention. Or if you found an idea into the business, yes, we can say that is innovation. Now, you people definitely will have to work upon these two aspects, that is invention and innovation, while creating an idea for your business. Why? Because very soon, this idea is going to get converted into a concept, and over a period of time, that concept will be commercialized in the form of product in the given market. So because of that only, you people are supposed to look after this idea very carefully, and you people will have to just see that whether your idea is inventive or it is innovative. If either of these two is not your idea, then you people should see to it that your product is should belongs to this or that category. If your idea is not belonging to either of these two categories, then definitely you must be imitating somebody else's idea. What does it mean? It means you are neither inventing an idea nor you are innovating an idea, then definitely you must be imitating an idea. Imitation, copying. You are copying an idea. From whom? From your competitors. Now, how different these three are, or what benefits these types of ideas will give to an entrepreneur? To answer this particular question, yes, innovative and inventive ideas are going to fetch long-run results for an entrepreneur, whereas imitative ideas will help an entrepreneur to achieve short-term goals. Why? Because imitative ideas are imitated by the competitors, they will not last long, my dear friends. And because of this, you as an entrepreneur will have to focus more on invention and innovation. And for this, what you should have? You should have one important functional department which should be very strong enough, that is research and development, which should continuously involve into invention and innovation of an idea based on the requirements of the customers again. So that these invention and innovations are going to fetch you, or these inventions or innovations are going to help you people to achieve long-term objectives of your business. Rather, imitative ideas which are imitated by the competitors or from the competitors will not last long. Why? Because like you, anybody can imitate those ideas in the market. If an idea is imitative, that can be imitated by anybody in the market, is it not? So because of that, you people should not harp on such ideas which will help you people only in achieving short-term goals and objectives. Rather, you people should focus only on long-term goals and objectives, and they will be achieved only with an inventive or innovative idea. So because of this, as I told you, you people should have a strong R&D, and we should constantly, continuously work on such invention and innovations based on the requirements of the customer, and they should keep on developing ideas. Okay, let the ideas be developed. Let them, just do not count them. We should not be self-sufficient as far as our business is concerned. We should not be self-sufficient saying that our business is running smoothly today. We need not to have any R&D department for creation of an idea. No. Why? Because given the dynamics in the marketing environment, given the dynamics in business environment, we don't know when our products will become obsolete. We don't know when the competitors will come and attack us in the market. And because of that, we people should always invent something new. We people should always innovate something new in the existing one, and we should try to provide something new to the customers so that customers will be associated with you for a long period of time. It is only because of the dynamic environment of the business and changing needs and wants of the customers again in the market. So because of this, business ideas need to be developed by all. And for this, what a businessman should give, businessman or an entrepreneur should empower the stakeholders in the business, and he should have a listening capacity. He should have a listening skill. Don't know when, who, how, where, and why an idea is developed and created and developed and submitted. If you don't empower your employees, it means you are restricting yourself in terms of invention and innovation. You people are restricting yourselves in terms of developing new ideas. Why? Because many a times employees will submit an idea and that will be a grand success. And because of this, yes, you as a businessman, you as an entrepreneur will have to empower your employees so that your employees can just think beyond the box and can be able to offer you some ideas and which will click over a period of time in your business, over a period of time in your entrepreneurship. And because of this, business ideas should have a broader perspective. They should not be narrow perspective. They should not have a narrow perspective. You people should give empowerment. Now, we should not ignore our competitors. Sometimes you learn something from your competitors and you try to achieve something. You achieve something. You have to study your competitors in close terms, and sometimes you develop some new idea from that particular study. Will help you people in developing one new business idea. Is it not? So, if you look at these examples again, which are there currently available in the market, like, yes, be it Thappars or Singhanias or Bajaj or Tatas, yes, what were they and what are they now? If you look at their autobiography, yes, they are there in the business from the last 7, 8, 9 decades. How could they survive in the business so far? It is only because they are trying to offer the new products to the customers based on their needs and requirements. Now, we should harp on this particular statement again and again, saying that customer needs are not static, they are changing. Customers' expectations are not stable, they are always changing. And you cannot say that what I am producing is going to certainly satisfy the customer needs and wants. No, will be there for some period of time. But after some time, as and when customers would like to ask change, you should be able to offer them change. Right? So the best example is something like Premier Automobiles Limited. Yes, it was one of the best car which was there available on Indian roads few years before, but where it is now. Now if you look at Bajaj, yes, Bajaj scooters were famous across India. In fact, those scooters were exported to various countries during then, 1980s. But what happened now? Those two scooters are no more available. Yes, scooters are available today, but they are not like Kickstarter scooters today. Yes, scooters with the latest technology, that is at to start. It means the good old concept of scooter is gone. The good old concept of four-wheeler segment is gone. Now what is there is, yes, if at all we desire to buy a car as a customer, what we do? We look after luxury. Yes, which Premier Automobiles Limited couldn't realize, and they miserably failed in the market. And because of that, that market is completely captured by these multinational corporations which are there available in the market. Similarly, if Bajaj could not have taken a decision to shift from their scooter segment to motorcycle segment, they would not have been there in the market. Why? Because as and when Honda Motors entered into Indian market way back in the year 1983, that time, yes, Bajaj people said, yes, that product is more efficient than us, and today customers are in need of change and we have to adopt change. Imagine if they could not have shifted from their scooter segment to motorbike segment, today you would not have seen that particular company existing. And because of this, you people are supposed to always listen to the customers. You people are supposed to always listen to the voice of your competitors, so that you can be able to study, understand the requirements of the customers and requirements of the market. Accordingly, you can be able to develop your product and satisfy or delight the customer. Is it? So this is all about business idea. With this, what we can understand, business idea is the one which is developed by anybody in the business, be it employers or employees or customers or competitors or suppliers. They can give you idea. Only thing is, you people should be in a position to receive them, and you people should give a thought process to that particular idea, so that one fine day that idea can get converted into concept and you can be able to commercialize this over a period of time. Right? So this is all about business ideas. Now we have discussed all about project management, contents of project management. We have also discussed project identification and we have discussed business ideas. Okay? Okay, now let us move towards the next important topic in the unit, that is, we call it as okay. Rest all things we can be able to discuss it in the next class. The last topic, I think we have discussed this point. They are something called proprietorship ownership, partnership, limited liability partnership, private limited companies, and public limited companies. These forms of ownership we have already discussed, and we let us try to discuss the specimens project report. What is the specimens project report? Specimens project report is the contents of the project report written in the form of document. What all need to be. Now that specimen varies from one another. It means for what your project report is required, whether you require to prepare you are required to prepare a project report to submit bank. Specimens project report is different. If at all you want to submit that project report for getting a permission to the government, that specimens project report is different. Or if at all you want to prepare a project report to present before the stakeholders, that specimens project report is different. Like that, there are different specimens project reports, which definitely we are going to discuss them in the next class. So, as I told you, specimens project report is the content of the project report to be written in the document, what all need to be covered. Those all things we can be able to discuss them in the next class again. There is one more important topic which we are going to cover in this unit is issues in project report. What are the issues in project report, or what are the issues involved in preparing project report? What are the issues involved in the project report? That also we can be able to discuss in the next class.